ever get that feeling, that certain things are just too strange to be, well, just coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're thinking of someone you haven't seen in years,
Right.
and suddenly, boom, they call you out of the blue.
Yeah.
Or you keep seeing the same number everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today, we're diving into those moments. We're talking synchronicities.
I love it.
And let me tell you, you guys have sent us some seriously intriguing stories, and we're going to unpack them, explore what those synchronicities might actually mean.
Absolutely.
And even give you some tips on how to tune into them in your own life.
Oh, I like that.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's start with the basics.
Yeah. So I think what's really interesting is that synchronicities, they're not just some new age phenomenon.
Right.
If you look back through history, ancient cultures were super aware of the potential significance of these meaningful coincidences.
We often hear about Carl Jung in relation to synchronicities.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly was his connection?
Yeah, well, so Jung was a prominent psychologist back in the early 20th century. And he was totally captivated by these moments when our inner world, our thoughts and feelings, seem to intersect with external events in ways that just defy logical explanation.
Like there's no way this could just be a coincidence.
Exactly. And he actually coined the term synchronicity to describe this phenomenon.
Oh, wow.
He even went on to develop a whole theory around it, suggesting that these synchronicities were glimpses into what he called the unus mundus, or the one world.
A one world? What does that even mean?
It's basically this idea that the mind and matter, our thoughts and the physical world around us, they're not separate, but deeply intertwined, interconnected at a fundamental level.
Okay, so instead of living these separate existences, our thoughts and the outside world are actually connected in ways we barely understand.
Exactly. And he believed these synchronicities offer us like these little glimpses into that interconnected reality.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it that way. It makes you wonder, what if those coincidences aren't so coincidental after all?
It really does.
You even included some information about the I Ching in the materials. How does that ancient system fit into all of this?
Yeah, the I Ching is a great example of intentionally engaging with synchronicity.
Oh, interesting.
It's an ancient Chinese system of divination that's been used for thousands of years.
Yeah. Wow.
And essentially, it's like asking the universe a question and seeing what response emerges through a specific method.
How does that work?
So you use a series of coin tosses to generate these figures called hexagrams, and each hexagram has its own unique interpretation. And the idea is that everything's interconnected.
Right.
These seemingly random events, like the way the coins fall, can hold a much deeper meaning.
So it's kind of like the I Ching provides a framework for understanding
Yes.
and even influencing this dance between our inner and outer worlds.
Exactly.
Which is precisely what we're talking about with synchronicities. It's like this hidden language that we're trying to understand.
I love that. Yeah.
Speaking of those moments that send shivers down your spine, you included a story about a lost photograph from World War I.
Oh.
That one really got to me.
It's a really powerful example of how these synchronicities,
It's crazy.
they can really stir up those deep emotions.
Absolutely.
So we have this woman in Germany,
Okay.
and it's right as World War I is breaking out.
Oh, wow.
She takes a photo of her son,
Okay.
and she drops off the film to be developed.
Right.
But because of the war, she's never able to get it back.
It's heartbreaking to imagine losing something so precious, especially during such a chaotic time.
Absolutely. And it's like this lost moment frozen in time.
Right.
Fast forward to 1916.
Okay.
The family has moved to Frankfurt,
Okay.
and she's taking a photo of her newborn daughter
Ah.
using new film, of course. When
Yeah.
the film is developed,
Yeah.
something incredible happens.
What?
It's a double exposure. And the image underneath
No way.
is the lost photo of her son from 1914.
You've got to be kidding me. It's like the universe found a way to return that memory to her after all those years.
It's incredible, right?
Against all odds, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
That's the power of synchronicities. They often tap into these really personal and emotional experiences,
For sure.
making us question the very nature of reality itself.
Absolutely. It reminds me of that story about Anthony Hopkins and the book The Girl from Petrovka.
Oh, yes, that one almost feels like an urban legend,
Right.
but it's totally true.
Refresh my memory. What exactly happened?
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1970s.
Right.
Anthony Hopkins is set to star in the film adaptation of this book.
Okay.
Naturally, he wants to read it beforehand, right?
Of course.
But there's one problem.
What's that?
The book is incredibly rare. He scoured London,
Yeah.
couldn't find a copy anywhere.
Wow.
Then while he's waiting for the subway,
Yeah.
he spots a book lying discarded on a bench.
No way.
And you guessed it,
It was the book?
The Girl from Petrovka.
That's incredible. But the story doesn't end there, does it?
Oh, this is just the beginning.
Oh my God.
So he opens it up,
Okay.
and it's filled with handwritten notes and underlines.
Really?
Fast forward a few years later.
Okay.
He's on the set of the film.
Yeah.
And he finally meets the book's author, George Pfeiffer.
Wow. What are the chances?
Right.
Like their paths were meant to cross.
During their conversation, Pfeiffer casually mentions lending his own annotated copy to a friend
Okay.
who lost it in London.
Oh, wow.
Without missing a beat, Hopkins pulls out the book he found.
Get out of here.
And it turns out to be the very same copy.
No way. That goes way beyond coincidence. It's like the book had a life of its own, just waiting to be reunited with its author through Anthony Hopkins.
I know, it's mind-blowing. These stories, as Jung suggested, they really highlight how compelling synchronicities can be. And they challenge us to look beyond these simple coincidences.
It's like these synchronicities are trying to tell us something. We just need to figure out how to understand them.
Exactly.
So how do we even begin to decode them? So it's like there's this whole hidden language of synchronicities, and we're just starting to learn the alphabet.
I like that analogy a lot because it really emphasizes that there's a learning curve.
Right.
We don't just automatically understand what these synchronicities are trying to tell us.
So how do we get fluent? How do we start deciphering these messages from the universe?
Well, I think a good starting point is understanding that there are actually different types of synchronicities.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they each carry their own unique message and purpose. Think of it this way. Synchronicities are like road signs on our journey through life.
Okay. I like where you're going with this. What kind of signs should we be looking out for?
Well, some synchronicities act as synchronicities of opportunity, pointing us towards exciting new paths.
Mm.
Remember that story about the woman who bumped into her future employer at a new cafe?
Oh, yeah, totally. That seemed meant to be.
Exactly. It's like the universe orchestrated that encounter. These types of synchronicities often involve these chance meetings or unexpected events that open doors to new jobs, relationships, even creative breakthroughs.
It's almost as if the universe is nudging us towards experiences that align with our path, even if we don't realize it at the time.
Precisely. And then there are synchronicities of manifestation. Have you ever noticed how just thinking about something can sometimes seem to pull it into your reality?
All the time, like when you get a song stuck in your head and then it's playing everywhere you go.
Yes, exactly. Those are synchronicities of manifestation at work. They serve as these little reminders that our thoughts and intentions have a very real power in shaping our experiences.
Okay, that's a little mind-bending, but I'm here for it. What about those times when it feels like you're getting a glimpse into the future? You know, like with recurring numbers or those super vivid dreams that almost feel real. They always feel so charged with meaning.
Those would be prophetic synchronicities. And you're right, they often send those shivers down our spines, hinting at some deeper meaning or connection we may not fully grasped at the moment. But here's the thing about prophetic synchronicities.
Right.
The interpretation is very personal.
What do you mean?
Well, what a dream symbol means to you might be totally different for someone else.
So it's like we each have our own personal dictionary for interpreting these signs.
Exactly. Then we have what we call confirmatory synchronicities. Those are like those reassuring nods from the universe, affirming that we're on the right track. It's that feeling you get when you're wrestling with a tough decision, and then boom, you stumble upon a, quote, a symbol, a piece of advice that just clicks.
I can totally relate to that. It's like the universe is saying, you got this, trust your gut.
Exactly. And lastly, we have warning synchronicities. These often serve as those cautionary signs, urging us to maybe pause and reevaluate our path. Maybe it's a series of unfortunate events or a persistent feeling that something's just not quite right.
Almost like a gut feeling that something's off.
Yes. It might be the universe's way of saying, hey, pay attention. There might be a different, better path here.
That makes a lot of sense. But let's be real for a second. With the hustle and bustle of daily life, it can be really hard to even notice these little whispers from the universe.
Absolutely. It's not about becoming hyper-aware, but more about cultivating an openness, a curiosity about the world around us.
So how do we tune in? What are some practical things we can do to become more aware of these synchronicities?
One powerful practice is keeping a synchronicity journal. Just a little notebook where you jot down those moments, no matter how small they seem. You might start to see some patterns or recurring themes that you hadn't noticed before.
I love that idea. What else can we do?
Cultivate a sense of wonder. Don't be so quick to dismiss those coincidences. Ask yourself, what if there's more to this? Also, connect with your intuition. Those gut feelings often hold a lot of wisdom.
And sometimes we just need to slow down enough to hear them.
Exactly. Creating space for reflection, whether it's through meditation, nature walks, or simply quiet moments in your day, can make a world of difference.
It's fascinating to think that these synchronicities might be more than just random occurrences, that they might actually be signposts guiding us along the way.
And as you start paying attention, I think you might be surprised by just how much the universe has been trying to communicate with you all along.
It really makes you wonder. What if those everyday coincidences, those little winks from the universe, hold more meaning and purpose than we ever imagined? Big thanks to our expert for this incredible deep dive into synchronicities. And to all of you listening out there, keep an eye out for those synchronicities in your own life. You never know what messages the universe might be trying to send your way.